Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! At the beginning of 2026, I predicted that this year was going to be the biggest year ever for Descendants fans and its stars because of how much you believed in them. Because this is what this has everything to do with and what it comes down to. How much we all believe in our favorite stars and these characters that they brought to life and how much they would go on to mean to all of our hearts. I know that a lot of people don't really say this when it comes to creating Descendants of Zombies videos, but you are what's always mattered to Descendants of Zombies because you are what makes it so special. And I've never ever wanted any of you to forget just how special you've made Descendants of Zombies. This entire experience for me has really been life-changing, and it became life-changing because of how much Descendants of Zombies touched all of your hearts, how you wanted to share your stories with the world about what made you a fan of somebody like Kylie Cantrall, how much you believed in Liamani Segura. When a lot of people really didn't know that much about her, you guys believed in her with all of your heart, and you gave her a chance. You gave them a chance to perform on a stage in front of all of you, and you were so acceptant of them. You really gave them a chance to perform on the stage of life. And ever since performing on the stage of life, they've really made the most of the opportunities life has presented them with, because this is an incredible life and an incredible journey for them all to be on and for all of us to experience. I've had the time of my life sitting in this chair every night, recording my thoughts and sharing my stories with you about what made me a fan of Descendants of Zombies, which pretty much had everything to do with all of you. Girls were showing up at my door every year on Halloween dressed up as their favorite Descendants characters, trying to get me to guess who they were. Hey, Jonathan Clarke, guess who I am? It was kind of like this. Knock on the door. Hey, Jonathan Clarke, guess who I am? And I would spend hours trying to guess who you guys were. And after trying so hard to figure out who you guys were, and you guys would eventually tell me, you guys would send me down into my basement researching everything there was for me to know about Descendants of Zombies. Hey, Jonathan Clarke, quit being a loser and create Descendants of Zombies videos for us. You're the greatest YouTuber of all time. It's time for you to realize your destiny of becoming the greatest content creator of all time. And while I may be a long way away from ever achieving that, at least I've got the love and support of every fan of Descendants of Zombies, and that's the one thing I've always had to depend on. You know, sharing my stories with how much I loved Ruby, and how much I would eventually love Kylie Cantrall, because she was a YouTuber herself, and I was pretty much in the beginning of my career, in the early stages of it, when Kylie Cantrall's YouTube channel first premiered. And I remember catching the early episodes of Hello Kylie and feeling so inspired by how Kylie Cantrall wanted to share her story with the world about how she was a fan of shows like Sam and Cat and Victorious and iCarly, especially Sam and Cat, because God knows she loved Jeanette McCurdy and Ariana Grande's portrayal of these characters, Sam and Cat, for their enthusiasm and their energy, which was at an all-time high. The thing about Nickelodeon shows years ago was that the energy was at an all-time high, and Kylie Cantrall at one point in her life wanted to be a Nickelodeon star, but more than anything else in the world, if you guys are super fans, you know that Kylie Cantrall wanted to be a Disney girl for the girls that she saw on TV and considered some of her heroes and her early idols. So Kylie Cantrall channeled that and had an opportunity to become a professional dancer, because growing up in a dance home obviously had its advantages. Her mom was a professional dancer, her dad was a professional producer, so she had things really working in her favor. But even though she had things working in her favor, that didn't mean that she didn't have a constant struggle having to deal with the pressures of Hollywood and entertainment, because it's always a constant struggle to leave an impression for yourself and make a name for yourself in an industry that's forever evolving and constantly changing, because that's the thing about this industry. I've worked in this industry and had involvement with it for many years, so if there's a guy who knows how much of a constant struggle it is for this industry to make a name for yourself and an everlasting impression, it's this guy. I've seen some of the best of them come and go, and I would love for these stars to stay a part of our lives for forever, to remain with us for forever, because of the stories they shared being so incredible. I remember more often than enough being left at a loss for words for just how special these moments meant to people like Kylie Cantrall, and just how emotionally connected she became with all of you. And she's got so much happening for her in 2026, but still in all, we hear all these ridiculous rumors of how she made the decision to back away from the Worlds Collide Tour Leg 2. Princess Wright is not going to be a part of it. Also, Malia Baker, Princess Chloe, is not going to be a part of it. And of course, Nova Bright, Freya Sky, is not going to be a part of this one either. But the thing we have to put into perspective is they have so much happening for them in 2026. They are really becoming more mature performers, and because they're becoming more mature performers, I think we can find time in appreciating that, because it's always about evolving. You know, years ago in English class, the teacher looked at me and she said, use one word to describe this situation in this novel. I believe it was Dracula or Romeo and Juliet. I think it was Dracula. And the one word that came to mind was that it was evolving, because over the years we've seen so many adaptations of classic stories like Romeo and Juliet and Dracula and even Descendants of Zombies. We had an original version and a changed up version that really changed our perspective on Descendants of Zombies, because for the first time ever, if you can remember that far back, Descendants was presented as a Wicked or a Harry Potter kind of musical that was brought to life for the first time ever, that nobody really wanted to give much of a chance because the music was obviously very different, the characters' perceptions were very different, and what they wanted to achieve out of life was very different from a Dove Cameron. But the cool thing about Descendants 5, Book of Wonderland's upcoming premiere this summer, is that Red will have her first ever ballad, which will give us a chance to become reintroduced to her character and emotions that are deep within inside of her, and she's really going to let it all out. And because she's really going to let it all out, that will give us more of an appreciation for just how strong this character is. You know, if you follow Kylie Cantrall closely on social media, you will see all these workout regimens and routines that Kylie Cantrall goes through every day, making herself a stronger person, really morphing into the hero and the idol that we have forever seen in her. And that's what makes her so special. I've never seen Kylie Cantrall look so strong, be so fearless, and be in the best shape of her life to allow her to perform all these stunts and to be a part of something so special. They may all have stunt doubles, but they do have to perform a certain degree of these stunts by themselves, and that can often be very challenging. You know, I was involved in the wrestling industry for years, and their entrances for events like WrestleMania and the Royal Rumbles would often be choreographed, and their movements would be choreographed, and the matches were obviously staged, but their movements and how much of a challenge it is for them to bring these characters to life, they need a lot of assistance. So they rely on people like me. They would often rely on people like me to help them bring their characters to life, because I had a lot to do with character development. So I took away a greater appreciation for what it meant to be involved with character development. You know, you often have to apply character traits, and then you have to trust in the person you've casted to use those character traits by applying their own character traits to bring their characters to life, which is always an incredible effort. And if there were anybody who were going to be able to bring these characters to life from Descendants, I mean, you couldn't help but feel more confident in the strength and the power exemplified by people like Kylie Cantrall and Ruby Rose Turner, not forgetting to mention how incredibly supportive they were of each other. I mean, Freya Skye, when she was casted for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, was only 16 years old. When I was 16 years old, I was only in the early stages of my career. I was involved in the wrestling industry for a number of years, so when it came to telling stories about characters that would be created, that's what made that so fun. I was always a wrestling fan, and I believed that wrestling was real for years until I became involved in it as a journalist, and I would have the chance to produce my own radio shows and YouTube channels from my home. And it's only now in recent years that I've had the chance to truly showcase my passions for things like Disney, because I remember sitting behind a microphone and always wanting to talk about what interests me, which eventually became Descendants of Zombies, for the powerful stories that Descendants of Zombies brought forth. Because we never imagined the Queen of Hearts would have gone on to have a daughter as powerful as what Red was, or how charming Chloe Charming was. Her name fit very appropriately. And now we have this new villain. I presume she's going to be a villain, called Tatum, the daughter of Tiana from Princess and the Frog. So again, it presents a new storyline for us with a new villain. And of course, for every antagonist, there has to be a protagonist that fits perfectly together and allows the story to come to life in ways that we never imagined possible. Along with characters from Encanto entering this franchise for the first time ever, gives us more to believe in than perhaps ever before. And I'm just really excited to be a part of it, because the one thing that I saw about Ruby was seeing Ruby play this very powerful character, this very powerful adaptation of the Queen of Hearts that we never thought existed, that we never imagined would have ever been talked about in any conversation having anything to do with Descendants of Zombies. Because if you flash back to 10 years ago, you would have never thought that these characters such as Red and Chloe and Bridget would have eventually become a part of something so powerful and would have changed Descendants considerably, because that's what happened. They changed Descendants considerably. But the thing is, we've got to put into perspective just how beautiful these characters are, because I've ultimately chosen this cast over the original because of the dedication and the heart they've shown for these characters and their stories, because every character had an individual story. Every character wanted to be given more of a chance, and through all of us coming together, we gave these characters, this cast, more of a chance than ever before. I know that Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires received this criticism early on, but it was the highest allocated budget for a Disney Channel original movie and movie done for Disney Plus, with $40 million being dropped. And when that budget dropped, a lot of our jaws had to be picked up off the floor because we never imagined that Disney Channel or Disney Plus would have ever gone that far. Usually they reserve the rights for $40 million budgets for Marvel movies or something having to do with Star Wars, which I know a lot of us have forever been excited about. But the thing is, Descendants has always deserved these huge budgets. Descendants has always deserved these huge opportunities for the strength and the dedication that we see these characters exemplifying from time to time, and just how incredibly supportive they've been of each other. The one thing I've always taken away from their friendships is how incredibly supportive they are of each other, because years ago we never really saw this a whole lot happening for stars on Disney Channel. We just, saw their friendships being showcased, like the friendships of Demi Lovato and Nick Jonas, oftentimes Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson. Even with how powerful Dove and Sophia's friendship was, Kylie's and Malia's became something far more powerful that we all took something special away from. We wanted to know everything about them, what they loved, what they necessarily didn't love so much, how incredibly supportive they were of each other. Even though people were creating rumor after rumor about why they had chosen to opt out of the Worlds Collide tour, or why this happened or that happened for them, that's life. And we all experience this. We may never think about it that way, but we all experience things that these stars are going through, because that's what makes us human. And as you get older, you will understand where I'm coming from, and you will appreciate things like how valuable time is, how precious the friends are we make in our lifetime, how they show up kind of with no explanation ever being offered, and how you really have to make the most of these opportunities, because deep within your heart, all you've ever wanted is to make everybody happy around you. And I think if more guys realized how girls always wanted to make everybody around them happy, then the world would be a better place. I don't know why that's so difficult for a lot of people to understand, and to understand how these stars are just human like all of us, because we're all created equal. At the end of every conversation and the end of every day when that sun sets, we're all created equal, and we're human. We're not indestructible, and we all cry. No matter if we choose to admit to it or not, we all cry over how people feel about us, with critical reviews being posted about stars' performances on stage or in front of a camera. We all cry, and we feel emotionally connected to everything we're a part of. And that's what makes this experience so special for every fan of Descendants of Zombies, because for the first time ever in your life, because many of you are really young and really trying to figure out your place in the world, your position, you're in a position to take over. If you haven't already realized that, you're going to become stronger. You're going to become more dedicated. The thing that we take away from Descendants of Zombies all the time is the appreciation that we've always seemed to carry with us for the stories, for how beautiful the stories were, how the music stood out, and when the script was too powerful, they relied on music to bring the story to life. That's something that really captivated me. And if one thing Descendants encouraged me to become is a stronger person. And I become that stronger person because I had the love and support of all of you. I was able to share my story from my own perspective, a story that was accepted and will go on to become so well received and definitely revered as one of the greatest storytellers of all time. And I think that has everything to do with all of you, because you guys are the ones who make the magic happen for Descendants of Zombies. It's always been about you. And I wish that more content creators would perceive this as a chance to tell their story and share their story with you in a way it was always meant to be shared. That's what makes this YouTube channel special. It's what always has made this YouTube channel special, and what will continue to make this YouTube special for many years to come. I've really had the time of my life bring this YouTube channel to life and sharing with you my perspective on Descendants of Zombies, because the way I've chosen to look at this and I'll perceive it is that we still have a long way to go, and there's no better way to get there than by getting there together, talking about mermaids and talking about pirates and witches and sirens and fairy tale characters and their stories. I wouldn't choose to do it any other way. I seem to be suffering from a zombie infection every morning when I record these videos for some reason, and I do apologize for that, but that's what you get, I guess, for living inside of a haunted house. I do hope I can earn your forgiveness, but there's always been something about this house. You always often hear creepy noises in the background, things going bump all the time in the nighttime. I've often wanted to get that checked out, but I do apologize again for living inside of a haunted house. But looking ahead to the summer of 2026, we have a lot to look forward to. We not only have Descendants 5 with Wonderland's premiere coming up, we have Kylie Cantrall's new single called Carrie Bradshaw. And, the one thing I remember of being a fan of entertainment was that Carrie Bradshaw, of course, she had a lot of fans years ago. And I think that Kylie Cantrall, seeing a lot of herself in the Carrie Bradshaw character from Sex and the City, that's what makes this so cool. And that's what makes this so fun to be a part of, to have the chance to share our story about Descendants of Zombies and see these characters evolve into something so special, and I felt so honored to be a part of that. So we're setting ourselves up to be a part of history, and who's coming with me? Who's coming along for the ride? I do invite you to hit my subscribe button. I do invite you to become a part of these conversations because they are incredible ones and ones that are going to be really fun to have, and I'm looking forward to having these conversations with far more fans of Descendants of Zombies than ever before. From wherever you're watching this video or from wherever you hear my voice, thank you so much for having chosen this YouTube channel as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time and having made me a stronger person, as we've all become because of Descendants of Zombies. You may not realize it, but you are stronger today because of how much Descendants of Zombies has meant to each and every one of your hearts. And if you feel that way, you are more than welcome to hit my subscribe button, as I felt for many, many years, for at least 10 years, which has been an incredible 10-year journey, allowing me myself to discover myself for being a huge fan of Descendants of Zombies. And thank you guys so much for all your love and support and having made this your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time. And as always, thank you so much for having watched this video.